welcome. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the different ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to watch my Good to Know segment at the end of every show, where as a life coach, I share with you all the things that are good to know. So today, my guest is somebody who's really done a lot to help a lot of special needs kids and adults in our community. And I really want you to welcome my guest, Sara Milner. And Sara is the co-founder and also the director of student services of Sunflower Bakery. So welcome, Sara.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a social worker by training, and for the last 40 plus years, my career has involved giving children, adults, opportunities to be totally included in the community, regardless of their disabilities.
Wow, and I know that you started this, you co-founded the Sunflower Bakery. So tell me, what inspired you to do that?
Well, for many years I was working in recreation, including kids in camps and after-school programs, preschool programs, and all kinds of informal recreation. But when kids graduate from school and they have varying disabilities, they don't have a whole lot of options for careers. You or I could choose whatever we want to do. We can try a vocational school or a university. For them, there are limited options. So we wanted people to have an option to do something where they could get skilled training, where they could go from where we were, which is in our bakery, to work in any bakery, anywhere, not just where there are only people with disabilities. That was really important to us.
And I mean, how did you come up with the idea of a bakery? Like, you know, what is it about a bakery that attracted you to that idea?
Well, many people who have disabilities, especially learning disabilities, who are on the autism spectrum, who have other kind of disabilities with attention deficit and other varying disabilities, need structure. Some of them need ritual, routine. So baking, the recipes don't change every week, especially in a professional bakery. The customers want the same cookie, the same brownie, and the same cake. So the structure lends itself to that, plus the recipes become very familiar, and they can do one step at a time. They don't have to know all the steps and remember all the parts. They can refer back to various steps. Then the other part that's particularly important for people with disabilities is all the way through schools, they've struggled, they've had a hard time, and it didn't mean anything to them if they couldn't learn the math or the history or the science. But when they learn to bake and they learn a recipe and they make a gorgeous coconut macaroon covered in chocolate, they not only can see it, smell it, taste it, but hear what the customers have to say.
And we have a beautiful selection here, which we'll talk more about, but it's amazing. So what makes Sunflower Bakery stand out among, you know, there's lots of bakeries.
No doubt. There are many bakeries. There really are. But first of all, we're a nonprofit bakery. We only exist to train adults who have learning differences to be able to get competitive employment.
So that's a very important point, like what you just said. For sure. You only exist to help train these adults, young adults, so that they can gain employment.
So the vehicle is baking, and we have to be able to afford to buy more flour and more cookies, so we sell our product. We are a full production bakery, plus we depend on foundations, some government grants, private donors donate to us so that we can not only just make great baked goods, but really can make great people have great life experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a clever idea. That you know, was this were you a baker? Like, is this like why that came up?
I've always loved baking, and I have, as I mentioned, I've always worked with people with disabilities. Yeah. And my colleague and co-founder is a startup kind of person. She's into fundraising and all that sort of thing. And she actually saw a bakery. Together. She saw a bakery where they hire people with disabilities. But that's one bakery, and that's those 6 people, then what? Yeah. So for us, the idea is bring them in, train them, and move them out.
So it's really like a school. You know, it's like a whole training facility.
It's a pastry arts training program. When somebody leaves us, they're ready to be hired as a bakery assistant in any bakery.
Wow,
Or, let me just be clear, just like we have choices, they may make a choice not to work in the baking part of the bakery. They might want to work in the sales part of the bakery.
Yeah, so there's different types of positions. And I know when I've spoken to you in the past, you've mentioned that, you know, for people with disabilities, that a lot of times the job options are not, you know, that great. I think you mentioned, is it the 4 Fs? Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
Filth, flour, food, and filing. Those were the historical jobs that were available to people with disabilities. Filth meaning janitor's assistants. Filing, if they were good enough, could file alphabetically, put things in folders. Food, not the preparation of the food, the cleanup in the dishes of the food. And food, and flowers, being assisting somebody in, you know, cleaning yards, mowing lawns, raking leaves. Those aren't options everybody wants. Some people want to actually do more with their lives and don't always want to be outside or in an office. They want to have choices. So this gives them another choice to be able to do something they can really not just learn but excel at and get better and better, and then have choices in the food industry. They don't have to stay just with the baking part.
So what, you know, like, so what you were saying is that, you know, sometimes, you know, people are just left sitting on a couch all day and may not, because I think you said there was like 35% of employed.
32% is only 32%, according to Montgomery County Commission on People with Disabilities. 32% of the people with cognitive disabilities in Montgomery County are employed.
Wow.
That's really low compared to the national average is more than 68%. It's really very challenging because people who without disabilities, 68, some places 80% are employed, and in Montgomery County it's 32% for people with learning differences.
Wow. So if there's somebody of like, what age do you typically work with?
We start with people when they're 18. Our first choice is for them to be finished with school, but many people who have learning differences are able to stay in school a little longer until they really get what they need to go out and get a job. So we will start people at age 18 is the minimum. Some people start when they're 25. But if we start them at 18, the schools work with us to help them get more prepared for coming to us, making sure they show up, doing all those things they need. And then they go on, they start with us in the bakery for 2 months of learning the basics, just how to do everything, read recipes, learn how to identify ingredients and utensils.
Do they all start doing the same thing, or do you identify certain people that might be good at other tasks?
Okay, so in the bakery, if they want to bake, we only take 2 students at a time, and one chef works with 2 students moving through the program. So for the first 10 weeks, they're just learning the basics, and those are the basics. While they're working on the basics, we check out what are their strengths. Then they move into on-the-job training in-house in the bakery, where they're part of the production team, just starting to get into it and feeling comfortable with making 5 batches of something. Instead of making 1 tray of brownies, making 4 trays of brownies. And then after that, they become paid interns before they leave, so they have the experience of earning money and then being able to handle it before they go get a paid job.
So how many kids are at one time being in your program?
So there could be 8 people in the actual instructional program at any time. Sometimes there are 10. It just depends on how they're moving because it is an individualized program.
And how many are actually, you know, working in the bakery? And do you have another location?
Okay, so in the bakery, we don't hire the people who we train. We want them to go get jobs elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
So, but we would have probably 4 at a time being paid under internship money.
Oh.
And then the others are working their way up to that. It's a continual, take them in, train them, move to the next step, move them out, and get a job and get paid.
And how long is that process typically?
About 5-6 months.
Oh.
About 5. That's it.
That's pretty
short period of time, but it's very intense training. And it starts being a work environment from day one. So it's not like, let me just show up to see if I feel like showing up today. That's not an option. You know, they're trained immediately. So you asked about other programs. We found that many people love the idea of baking and want to bake, but not everybody has the fine motor skills or the stamina to stand in a hot kitchen to do this.
Because we're all unique.
Absolutely. So we opened a cafe. It's in Rockville. Well, it's North Bethesda on Executive Boulevard in the first floor of an office building at 6101 Executive Boulevard. And there our students sell our pastries, but they also learn to be baristas. They learn to use point of sales equipment. They learn customer service, especially with so many people who have social issues going along with their disabilities. Make eye contact, smile.
So you can teach somebody to,
we
to
work
really...
hard at it, and we succeed many times, but they have to start to feel comfortable, and that's the key. And one of the great things about the cafe is I talked about inclusion, and it's really important for the students to have inclusive experiences, to be at the cafe around other people, but it's really equally important for the world, the community, to get to know folks with disabilities, to have a relationship with them where really the people with disabilities are helping them. They're making they can't make a Frappuccino, but the student who's being trained knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So the key is that it's another way of having people learn more about people with disabilities in a natural environment. And then maybe they'll be nicer to the next person that they meet. You never know.
It sounds like it's like a win-win situation. It really does. And I've been in that cafe, the Sunflower Cafe, and it's really wonderful to see it in action. It really is. It's really special, and there. So if somebody wanted to order, or like, how do they buy all these beautiful beautiful items that are smelling so good right now, that making me want to eat them all?
Well, we're a small nonprofit, and so we don't have a storefront except for at the cafe. But people can go online to www.sunflowerbakery.org, and it says Shop Now. Click on that, and you'll see many, many more products than what we have here.
When they can get them at the cafe
They can either pick them up at the cafe. We have certain drop-off sites on Thursday evenings, or they can have them delivered, and when they place their order electronically, it does a formula for how much it costs for the delivery.
So that's amazing that that you'd be eating delicious food, but also at the same time helping young adults in our area, actually, better their lives. So you're getting delicious dessert and helping other people. So
that's real important to us too. We hired professional chefs. I didn't try to train anybody to work in my kitchen. I wanted professional chefs to teach them how a professional chef needs to have somebody work with them.
So we're gonna. So thank you, Sarah, for that, and we're gonna talk more and discover all these delicious items. So, which smelling so good, and so we're gonna take a quick short break. So to make sure you come right back. I'm Nira Berry, and this is Happy and Healthy.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
First day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
Hi, welcome back to Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host, and we're talking with Sara Milner of Sunflower Bakery. So Sara, let's continue, and I wanted to ask you, who are the people that you train?
So students come to us referred by the schools, maybe referred by the Division of Rehabilitation Services, or even family members, neighbors, people who have customers.
Can you give me an example of a typical trainee?
A person who has struggled through school. You often has an individualized educational program while they're in school. Maybe at pull-out, might have had resource help, maybe got speech language or occupational therapy when they were younger, may have social issues. Not unusual for somebody to be on the higher end of the autism spectrum. They may have specific learning disabilities. They may have ADHD, executive functioning issues. And they're people who need help the way they learn. So they may have the same aspirations as everybody else, but they can't go to l'Académie de Cuisine because they teach 1 in 25 students at the time. If they go to Montgomery College, they can't handle the social aspects of getting through college life and other colleges. So for them, we even have, for example, one dad came in with his son and said, I'm tired of taking college courses because it's a big, heavy weight for the family to carry for someone to make it through college if they've really struggled all the way to school up that point. So a person can come to us who just might even say, I think I would like to do this, rather than, we do have lots of people who say, I've always wanted to bake. Some say, I think I'd like to do this if you could teach me, and we always let them know we'll find the way that they learn best and we'll help them learn. I'll give you an example. We had a young lady who liked baking, but whenever she was in school, she kept saying, all I hear from my teachers is what I don't do right. She kept saying, "You're so nice to me. Why are you so nice to me?" And it was shocking to us that she would say that, because it wasn't even that we were so nice. It's that we understood and we were patient, and we didn't try to impose on her somebody else's way of learning. We did it the way she learned best. Sure enough, she got a job at Safeway. After that, she worked at a catering company. Now she's decided she wants to go back into a bakery again. And this is 6 years later. We're willing to work with her to help her find, a place for her to go back into baking again.
And have you seen like a big difference in the student, the trainee themselves?
I think one of the greatest testimonies, we recently had graduated the last of 57 students up till this point, and 2 families.
So you have
separately,
total 57 have graduated?
57 graduates. And we have about an 80 to 85% employment rate in the first year, which is really quite high.
That is great.
Again, not just in baking, but in food-related jobs that they learned what they needed in our kitchen. 2 different families at 2 different times said, "This is a different person than last year, but more importantly, you've changed our family."
Oh, that must be so
rewarding. And that
rewarding.
makes a big difference, because their son is going out to work. He goes independently. He shows up. People don't realize, and this is an issue we have with employers, they don't realize how valuable the people we train are to work for them. They've gotten great basic training, plus we teach them life skills. It's part of what we teach them in terms of employee development, what an employer expects, what they need to know before they go to a job. And we tell them, don't come here every day with your parents. Learn how to ride the bus. Get travel trained. And so that they just haven't had those choices before. Nobody's ever said, look at what you can do, and they've never felt that they could do something. Wow. Nobody's ever given them the support to believe they could do something. So in terms of change,
beautiful.
One specific guy came to us from a school where he was in very small classes because of emotional issues and additional to learning issues. So primarily we deal with the learning issues, but that's all we needed to do for him, because once he was able to learn, he grew so much, and he himself
really helped his self-esteem. Wow.
He himself says, I didn't just learn the competencies, the skills, I've got the self-confidence to work in any bakery.
Yeah, and that, I would imagine, would translate to every aspect of this person's life.
And his mother is beside herself. And
that must be so rewarding.
Can't everybody be that way, but we make it possible for somebody to find us and make that happen.
That must be so rewarding.
It's the best.
Really. So what are, like you mentioned that this person got a job at Safeway. What are some of the other places that people have been hired?
Safeway, Giant, Stella's Bakery, hot breads and cakes in the Kentlands.
Like what other type of things?
Caterers.
Oh.
Restaurants. Founding Farmers Restaurant has right in the kitchen, which is in the middle of the floor of the restaurant. They're right in the kitchen there. Small bakeries, specialty bakeries. So it's kind of anywhere that they need an assistant baker. We even have one of our guys who tried Montgomery College, totally bombed out, trained and worked for 3 years at Stella's Bakeries. He just graduated with honors from Le Cordon Bleu. He would have never dreamed that he would ever even think of, after being in college, that he would go to Le Cordon Bleu, graduate with honors.
Oh, that's really a nice feather in your cap.
Not everybody.
But each one has their own level of accomplishments, and whatever they do, that's great. That's really wonderful.
For some of our graduates, the goal is to work 3 days for 3 hours. That's it. That's all they want or can work because they're on Social Security income. And other people want to just keep working till they prove themselves and can be full-time. Some want to move into management, and they will.
And what a bonus to the community. These people that may not have had the opportunity to be employed and to really to be productive part of society, and it's really great, and they have the confidence in themselves.
People don't even think about it's a lower health expense. How depressing, and what is the incidence of illness among people who are more depressed than not? So for those people who are even at risk because of their other issues they have going on, have to be out, work, go every day, come home, those things that make it where they want to get out of bed.
Yeah. Well, this right here on the table in front of us is a really good reason to get out of bed in the morning. So maybe you could just tell us real quickly about some of the different options of what
Sure.
they actually produce.
So we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk in terms
Yeah.
of inclusion.
Yeah.
And we want to be inclusive to our customer base.
Yeah.
We have no dairy in any of our products. Some of our products are vegan.
Yeah.
Some are gluten-free. Let's see what we have. Jam bars are vegan. This whole tray has no gluten added. Our bakery is not gluten-free.
Oh, wow.
But for example, we use almond flour, we use oat flour, coconut has the oat.
And I see
then
a lot
we have
of chocolate.
special, those are chocolate brownies with a special non-gluten flour that we buy. We make muffins, mini muffins, big. Our cafe has the big ones. We have here apricot crumble bars, but we also have raspberry. We have blondies. We have Mother's Day and other bouquets. You can make any special kind of, we have
Yeah.
hundreds of cookie cutters, so we can make table arrangements for events. We've done it many times. Favors for organizations.
And those cupcakes.
The cupcakes are all
Wow.
awesome.
That's really something.
A variety of cookies. We also have mando bread and rugelach. We have brownie pops. I forgot to bring them. But we can pretty much make most of anything anybody wants. And while we think it's really important to people to buy from us for the cause, our professional chefs make sure that they come back for the taste.
Yeah, I bet you have a lot of regulars.
We do indeed.
Yeah,
We
because
do
I can
indeed.
tell you it smells so good, and I've actually tried some of these in the past, and they're
Every
really
single-
worthwhile. I can see you have repeat business.
For
so-
sure. And every single item on here is made by students. So, we also do wedding cakes and bun cakes and special event cakes. But I'm just saying, I want people to have an idea. We're not talking about just making the classroom
Yeah.
chocolate chip cookie here.
Yeah.
We're talking about specialty items.
And it's beautiful. I mean, I can tell you that they're just beautiful. Like
you.
these macaroons and everything is just it's just really beautiful. I mean, the flowers, the flour cookies, really something special. And I'm sure they're very proud of the what they produce.
Indeed. When they go and see it other places, they're like, wow, I went to this and they had, and that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see that, they're doing something that contributes and makes other people happy too.
Yeah, that's really something that there's so many that you've got these graduates and they're off in the community and this is something that you're constantly training new people and expanding the bakery and so what was your decision as to, because I know you first started with the bakery and then now you have a cafe, so what was your decision to do that?
Well, we knew that we needed to have additional opportunities. I mean, we wanted the people in the bakery to have the opportunity to train to wait on customers, because some places, when you want to work in their bakery, you have to wait on customers as well. So that was one of that. Also, we've always wanted a storefront. Someday, we'll be able to afford a proper storefront. But in the meantime, we're happy to be in the office building and give other kinds of opportunities to people. And I left out, I wanted to mention to you that we don't wait until they're 18 to have them know us. We do have summer baking classes for teens and for kids 14 to 18 to come into a professional production bakery and be in there learning basic baking skills that they can work on at home. They don't learn to be bakers. They're only there for 1 week for 2.5 hours a day. But we do it for 4 weeks in the summer, and it gives kids who aren't even as capable as the people who are in the bakery the chance to also get to try to bake and also take something home that tastes really yummy to their families.
So you expanded into that. Are you expanding into other areas as well?
Well, not yet. Like if a fairy godfather, a fairy godmother wants to give us some serious money, we would love to have a storefront where we could have our classes in the back. We'd love to have integrated classes where people with disabilities learn alongside people without disabilities. There are a lot of opportunities if we had a big enough space where we really could afford to do that and still be.
Yeah. I mean, I could see something like this being a need in many communities around the country. I mean, is that something that's in the back of your mind?
Yes, we actually have been spending some time on seeing how we can be replicated and how to package Sunflower Bakery. We've had contacts from literally all over the world. People have come. People see our website online call from Germany, from Israel, from Africa. They've come in person to visit in South America. Of course, there are needs all over the world for options. There aren't that many choices, so it's a universal need. And food, and good food is a universal desire, so it's a good
So if somebody wanted to find out more information about Sunflower Bakery, how can they contact you? What's your website?
Okay, we're www.sunflowerbakery.org. And if anybody wants to apply or get information about the training program, Sara, S-A-R-A, at sunflowerbakery.org.
Okay, that's wonderful. And let me just ask you, out of all of these, what is your favorite dessert?
Oh, you're making it so hard. Two of my favorites are here. Nope, one of my most favorites, but a lot of my favorites.
Hard to pick just one, right?
The French macaron way up there.
Oh.
The coconut macaroons, the lemon bars didn't make it because
Yeah.
they're quite perishable.
Yeah, these look quite delicious and
They have
delectable.
different fillings. They're over the top.
So-
but anything, the ginger cookies are like the best ginger cookies. The crinkle cookies are the best crinkle cookies.
Everybody's got their favorite, and depending on the day. So this is really wonderful. This is just spectacular, and I thank you, Sara, for all your delicious information.
You're so sweet.
So thank you so much, Sara Milner of Sunflower Bakery, for being my guest today. I'm Nira Berry, your host, and we're going to come back with our segment of Good to Know. So stay tuned for Happy and Healthy.
The odds of this boy achieving his dream in fashion? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach and your host of Happy and Healthy. And now I'm going to talk to you about what's good to know. So I'm going to speak to you about forgiveness. And I know, like many of you have experienced, like when you were kids, that somebody did you wrong and they apologized to you. And then, like, did you really accept their apology? Like, you may have said it, but how did you feel inside? Did you harbor those feelings? Or maybe even now, if somebody wronged you with either physically or emotionally, do you harbor like those vengeful feelings or anger? And as a life coach, I can tell you that's not a good way to walk around. And so I always try to say to my clients to maybe find that compassion for that other person and see if you can find within yourself to be able to forgive them. And of course, you don't have to say it physically to that person ever, but within yourself, if you can find that place within you to forgive them, you'll walk around and be a happier and healthier person for it. So let me know what you think. I'm Nira Berry, host of Happy and Healthy, and I'm a happiness coach. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at happyandhealthytv@gmail.com. So have a happy day.